All right, well, let's get started and people can come in if they're late. So this is Plano Public Libraries Exploring Careers. Today's session is environmental careers, and we have some panelists that are here today. If you have any questions that you would like to ask our panelists during this session, you can type them in the chat room. We have a few people that are monitoring that, and they can interrupt us and let us know what questions you have. If you have a general one or for a specific speaker, either way, just let us know. And we'll also be dropping some links in the chat as well. So if you joined us, there's already a few links to the Plano Public Library. There's a blog post about today's information, and you can click on the links and look at it after the session is done. So my name is Valerie Goldsmith. I work at Davis Library here at Plano Public Library, and I have 3 panelists with us. And I would like each of you to introduce yourselves. So why don't we start off with our other Plano employee, Jamie.
Thank you, Valerie. Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Bretzen. I'm the Senior Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Plano. And in that job, I provide education and outreach to residents, Plano corporations, and government operations on various sustainability topics ranging from energy conservation to water conservation, renewable energy, vehicle electrification, air quality. And I also do, on behalf of the city, electronic reporting and tracking so we can track our progress in terms of how we're meeting our goals with regard to sustainability.
All right, thank you. How about Dr. Jabber? Can you go next?
Sure. So my name is Fouad Jabber. I am a professor and an extension specialist with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension and Research based here at the Dallas Center. If you've seen it, it's on Coit and George Bush. I am a stormwater management and water quality specialist. So I do outreach like Jamie on teaching cities and engineers how to take appropriate actions to reduce pollution from stormwater to our rivers and streams. I do some stream restoration work, but I also do research here, and I work with sometimes graduate students to develop projects that would make water cleaner.
Great, thank you. And Sylvia, tell us about yourself.
Hi there, Sylvia Golisano, Granite Properties. We are a owner, developer, investor in commercial real estate. Our portfolio, we have portfolios in 5 markets, including Dallas, Houston, Denver, Atlanta, and Southern California. And our headquarters is in Plano, Texas, right here. And we are right on the corner of the Dallas Tollway and the same Rayburn 121 freeway. And I have been with Granite 15 years, and my work focuses on energy efficiency and water conservation, all the things similar to Dr. Jabber. And but in addition to that, I focus on building certifications and tracking and measuring all of the ESG and sustainability initiatives that Granite is involved in.
Great, thank you. So let's see. I don't see anything in the chat room right now. So I would love for all of you to give us just a brief overview of what led you to your job you currently are in now.
I guess I could start.
Okay.
I have fallen into commercial real estate strictly by chance. My background is in hospitality, and but I took some time off when I had my daughter, and when I returned to the workplace, I tested out a couple different positions through a temporary agency. And that kind of brought me to Granite Properties. At the time, they had created a brand new role that was more customer service oriented at the time. But as I learned about the commercial real estate and became interested in the green features or sustainable features of our buildings and how our industry affects the overall our contribution and our footprint. So I became involved in the local association, the U.S. Green Building Council, and to learn more about what kind of a difference we could make in reducing emissions, reducing water usage and electricity and energy. And yeah, that's kind of led me to the position I'm in now.
All right, thank you.
And I'll go next. Sure. I've had a bit of a road to get to where I am, and I think it's something that you'll see because sustainability and environmental jobs are sort of ever evolving. I think there's a lot of people who end up in the environmental sector coming from a lot of different places. I started my career as an environmental engineer. I worked for a consulting company who specialized in air quality and air quality permitting and dispersion modeling. And sort of how I ended up there is that I had a professor at Texas A&M who that was his specialty and that was his passion. And he introduced me to some people who were at this consulting firm. So while I was there, I did air quality permitting for everything from semiconductor chips to potato chips to oil refining, really a lot of different industries. And one that I ended up doing a lot of work for was in the stone, sand, and gravel mining industry. And so in doing a lot of work with that particular client, I was sort of recruited out to go work for them full time. So I went from almost like air quality for lots of different types of industry to into one industry with responsibility for air quality permitting, stormwater permitting, process water, mining permitting, really the whole hazardous waste management type of the gamut of environmental requirements for any heavy industry environment. And because in mining, you have to do a lot of traveling, you have to go where the mines are. And for personal reasons, I decided to sort of take it a little bit closer to home and started actually volunteering with Plano's Live Green in Plano program as a volunteer, doing all sorts of volunteer work from water ambassador work to recycling. And when it came time for me to get back full-time into the job market, I came on full-time with the city of Plano.
Very good. So like she said, that's right. You don't start targeting environment from the beginning. So I actually did an undergrad in agricultural engineering in Lebanon, my native country. And there was a broad range of topics that we studied, from animal feeding to air quality to water. And water was the most interesting topic to me. So I did a master's in irrigation. And during that master's, I learned a lot about watersheds. And I wanted to learn more. So I came to the US to do a PhD, and I did a PhD at Purdue University in hydrology in general. It was very academic, and I worked a lot with equations, physics, and math. Then I got a postdoc at the University of Florida, where I started applying some of my knowledge to actual real life problems. And so I worked on projects to help farmers get rid of the extra water in Florida that flood their fields. And then I got the position here at Texas A&M University, and it was an extension position. So a lot of my work is really to translate science to the general public, or even to engineers that need extra education. And it was focused on urban management. So immediately, all my focus of my work became to develop courses and methods and test in the ground practices that aim at improving water quality and reduce flooding. And that's what I've been doing for the past 14 years.
Very nice. All right, I'm going to just reintroduce ourselves just in case somebody came in late to the chat. So this is the exploring environmental careers is what we're going over today. We have 3 people from varying backgrounds with us. We have Jamie from City of Plano, Sylvia from Granite Properties, and Dr. Jabber from Texas A&M Extension. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, and we will have one or all of our panelists fill you in on the details. And there's also some links that we've added to the chat room. I am pausing to see if there's anything in here. Okay, nothing right now.
No questions yet.
Okay, thank you. And we do have some people monitoring that for us. So let's see here. Let's add, I think, a great question to follow up with. So you've all told us kind of your career paths to get to where you are now. So now that you've told us about that, can you fill us in on any misconceptions that people have about the environmental careers? Is it, I think Dr. Jabber said it doesn't necessarily start with, I'm starting my career in an environment. So how on earth can we find careers? What are the misconceptions about environmental careers?
So I could start here since you used my quote.
Okay.
One thing that I'd like to say is that a lot of the time people think that you focus your work on the environment if you're a hardcore activist with signs in the ground and in the street, but actually environmental careers is really a large mainstream part of jobs. Right now, every company, Sylvia, for example, have a sustainability person. You have every city has a huge amount of environmental jobs, and so the main, I guess, requirement is to be interested in the environment, wanting the environment to be better, but also knowing that these are good careers that are in many cases well-paying, and it's a very broad range of topics. So as you start now, whether you're in high school or early in college, there's a lot of opportunities to look and explore what you like, whether you want to read about them or volunteer at certain events or attend events like this one, or even join organizations that help in that work in some environmental fields, like the Master Naturalist and Master Gardeners are some examples, and that's going to build up more interest in a specific topic, whether it's water, air, wastewater, any other environmental issues that they might be interested in, green buildings, and you can take it from there. Then you can either find a job or pursue further education in it.
Thank you.
Exactly. Dr. Jabber hit the nail on the head that environmental careers and professionals in the environmental careers are not activists. We are all mainstream regular people who are going to work every day trying to make the world a better place. And in various industries, in my industry, for example, I come in contact with professionals in engineering and development and construction and administrative jobs. I speak with a lot of sustainability consultants, but also renewable energy consultants and various other supporting industries that help us, meaning Granite Properties, run our buildings, operate them efficiently, and making sure that they are healthy and clean for our customers and everyone that lives in our buildings.
Absolutely. And to build, I'm sorry, Sylvia, were you still?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, sorry. And to build on what Sylvia and Dr. Jabber said, I think there's just so much opportunity in environmental right now. And you may, some people have the preconceived notion that you have to get a degree in environmental sciences or environmental engineering, but you can really come at it from so many different ways. And I don't want anyone to be discouraged if you think that maybe math is not my favorite thing to do. environmental jobs, there are jobs for, statisticians and engineers who love the math aspect of it, but there's also opportunities for public relations people, for accountants, for biologists, for chemists. There's really a lot of different careers where you could have an environmental specialization, even if your title is not environmental manager. If you love biology, it's possible to specialize in looking at endangered species, or at the species that may be affected by creek pollution or something like that, or developing different technologies to clean water, or being a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. to talk about environmental issues. Really, there's room for everyone with different strengths.
Exactly.
Great.
Whatever your talent and your strength and your passion is, you can apply it to an environmental career. That's for sure. I think there's been a recent study by LinkedIn that environmental or green jobs have been on the rise. Some have been outpacing other industries and other focus jobs. So there's definitely opportunity, and I'm definitely not the greatest at math whatsoever, but everyone has their talents, and mine happens to be talking to people and analyzing things, looking at the bigger picture, looking at strategy, and using tools, using technology, using various tools that you come in to learn in your job, and applying them, and just becoming good at a specific thing within your company, and making that great.
That's great news for us who don't feel like they can be scientists. Phew. Okay. Well, we have Jack Arias from the EPA who has joined us. So I'd love for him to give a quick introduction, and then we have a few questions. Hi, Jack. Oh. Hi. Let's make sure that his, let's see. Right. Jack, looks like right now you are muted.
Okay. Now,
Okay, great.
okay,
Hi,
great.
welcome. Jack,
Hello.
can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jack Arias. I work for the EPA. I'm under the Enforcement Division,
Mhm.
and I'm originally actually from Peru.
Oh,
I came here like 22 years ago. Um, but now I've been working for the EPA for almost 14 years, and I did my studies at UTEP El Paso. Did my master's and my PhD in environmental science and engineering. And part of the work that I did at the university is being applied in the EPA, because I did studies of plants that can reduce the contamination of heavy metals on soil or even in water. But that's everything that I have. So I'm very excited, and I'm sorry there was some issues actually with the internet early. So,
okay.
but
Well, it
now I guess we're
happens.
okay.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you could join our panel. So I see in the chat we have a question, which all or just one or two of you can answer. It says, I am attending for my son as he is in an AP study group at school. Today was supposed to be a school holiday, but it is no longer due to inclement weather days. It says he is interested in studying environmental science at university this fall. Initially, he was interested in chemistry, but changed his mind after taking his current AP environmental class at school. Do you have any advice on studies, minor, master's, summer job? Anyone
I do
have
have a
some?
recommendation.
Yes.
I actually I mentor students. I still mentor students from UTEP and El Paso, but also from UTD. So one of the recommendations for environmental science discipline, if there is right now a bachelor's degree too in the career is called environmental science career. It's more like an interdisciplinary career, which they actually have biology, chemistry, geology engineering, and even environmental science classes. So even a master's too right now. In the past, they didn't have those classes, but sometimes they call the class to the interdisciplinary science class to or career that they can pursue. And I would recommend that one because that actually covers, it's not specific because sometimes when they apply for jobs, when they see the actually environmental science or interdisciplinary career, it's not specific to, okay, we need a biologist or we need a chemist. It's actually a combination. You can actually apply for any positions for biologists or chemists or even physics uh, careers.
Okay, great, Jack.
I can add some to this, just to that environmental careers, like the field itself, has many potential majors in colleges, and I work with a lot of people in these fields. So I'm actually a faculty in the biological and agricultural engineering department of Texas A&M, and natural resources engineering is one of the fields of specialty that you can do as undergrad. Of course, there's environmental engineering positions, even though a lot of them have air quality and wastewater focuses. They all right now also integrate a sustainability track, or at least some courses in sustainability. There's environmental science, like Jack mentioned, that is available in most of the schools, but also other surprising fields are jumping into environmental work. So for example, geography right now, actually, most of my collaborators are in the Department of Geography, and they're doing amazing environmental and GIS work that is really top of the line, and they're getting all these NSF grants. But even you can be in environmental career with an English degree, really, because there's a lot of technical writing jobs. There's need for social science is taking over too. So if you're good in talking to people, there's a lot of potential. So really, it's so broad. There are specific like at A&M, for example, if you don't want to be an engineer but you want to do a master's in water, we have a water science major for graduate studies. And so these, even if you don't you're not an engineer, you have potential to do graduate work in technical water management. And
I wanted to add, I'm sorry, Jamie, did you want to say something?
Go ahead. I'll go ahead.
No, since both Jack and Dr. Jabber mentioned engineering, our building engineers, a lot of them started out working for or being interested in buildings in general, but working maybe for an engineering firm. I would be happy to put you in touch with some of our engineers and see how they started out as far as education goes. But just to give you a kind of a day in the life of an operating engineer at Granite Properties, they do a lot of customer service work, talk to our customers, or the building occupants, our tenants that live in our buildings and work in our buildings every day. They make sure that the temperature is optimal in the spaces and do adjustments. They make sure that all of our building systems run smoothly and efficiently, that are checked on a regular basis. Each piece of equipment in our buildings has its own kind of maintenance schedule, and they take care of the indoor air quality, making sure that there's no contaminants, changing out filters, high performance, high efficiency filters to make sure that the air is clean. They check our all of our common areas, make sure that everything is running and functioning the way it should. But there's a big people component. Definitely our operator engineers are excellent in what they do. They love taking care of our tenants and our customers and making sure that they are comfortable and that they thrive in their environment and in their workplace where we all spend so much time in.
We have two more questions. One is it easy for someone in late 40s to get into an environmental path or related jobs? And the second one is, what does it take to get into the field?
I think you can get a job and environment at any point in your life, if you're willing, and especially if you are open to learning and to being open to technology. A lot of what we do in well, in all careers, but especially in my line of work, is technology related. So just being open to learning about that and learning to communicate with people and enjoy communicating with people. I think that's half the battle.
I think going back to what we were talking about before, for someone who's looking to get into environmental as a non-traditional entry point, I would say look at the skills that you do have. Kind of how we were talking about how the environmental profession needs people with strengths of all different sorts. I'd say take a look at what your own strengths are and how those could be beneficial to the environmental profession. It takes quite a wide variety of skill sets to come up with solutions, to implement solutions, to communicate solutions, to look back and evaluate whether or not the things you tried were effective. So I'd say look at what your own strengths are and see how they can apply. And then to go back to a previous question for the student who was looking at AP, the AP Environmental Science, a potential change in major at the college level. One thing I would recommend is, if he is interested in studying environmental science or getting a degree in environmental science, is to do a comparison between what the requirements are for an environmental engineering degree versus an environmental science degree, because it's been my personal and professional experience that having an engineering degree and having, especially if you go forward with getting your EIT, which is your engineer in training certification, and then going forward getting your professional engineer certification, if you see someone with the letters PE after their name. In some cases, there are certain capital costs of projects that can trigger the need to have a PE on a project. So it really can open some additional doors and have greater opportunities if you want to go the engineering route. I would just suggest doing a good comparison of the two programs to see if one might be a more appropriate path.
Okay, I know Jack would like to respond, but before you do, check out for those of you who maybe came in a little bit later, check out our chat. There's several links that might be of interest or use to you. PlanoPublicLibrary.org. There's past newsletter articles. We have the blog up right now, which is specifically on the environmental careers, and there's some links in there that might be helpful to you. Okay, Jack, do you have something that you'd like to add to this?
Yes, the only thing that was talking from the perspective from the EPA, because we done a lot of interviews to different students, and one thing actually the Dr. Jaber actually mentioned about the geography. One of the things that we're looking, and this is the same for a lot of the federal agencies that they work in the field, is the GIS techniques, which is geographic information. If a student actually come with that actually skills of know about GIS, that actually they can have more chances to be.
Uh-oh. Looks like you're frozen right now, Jack.
Well, yeah, I'll continue his line of talk until he comes back. So GIS,
Thanks.
Geographic Information System, is actually a developing field by itself. So we engineers use it, people in geography use it, people in environmental science use it. And it used to be a mapping system where you can come up with information of different things. You lay over several maps and it shows you stuff, but it's becoming way more than that. It's becoming a statistical tool where people can put pictures that are georeferenced. It's heavily used in collecting data for what we call a citizen science project. Like we ask, like, everybody that can take a picture of this flower, please take it and go to this website, and you can put it where you took that picture, and then the scientists have all that information. But yes, it's a plus, but really, again, it's a broad range of there's such a broad range in environmental work that any major can work. And I did want to answer the question that said, what does it take to get into the field? And I'm just going to say it back. Just if you know what you're interested in, you can look for internship, you can go to the library and read about it, and then just apply to either entry-level jobs, or if you have a degree that's supported, you can go higher. But I think there's levels of job from the field work to working in the office, helping someone, all the way to high-level positions.
I agree with all of that. And also check out your local community college. There's lots of different ways to get involved and volunteer with the community, volunteer with the city of Plano or any other community that you're close to, and that you'll get in touch and get to know so many different people in many different industries, and just start talking to them and ask them about what they're doing and whatever your passion is, and latch on to that.
Okay, and I know when we spoke before, volunteering was something that all of you suggested. Jamie, are there opportunities in that you could speak to?
Sure. And Sylvia alluded to these a little bit. We have the program called Live Green in Plano. You can find us at livegreeninplano.com. And then also in some of the links that are in the chat for where to find information about our volunteer programs, what those opportunities look like. And then the specific division I work for is called the Sustainability and Environmental Education Division. And we have various classes that we offer through there, from water conservation to air quality to how to recycle in Plano. That can kind of, if you're not totally sure what your passion is or what you're interested in, you want to dip your toes into a couple different topics and see what feels right to you, then, you know, some of those classes, they're all free. A lot of them are webinars, but we have a whole schedule that will be part of the links that are provided.
One more volunteer opportunity. I volunteer with the U.S. Green Building Council, and there is all kinds of different committees that you can serve on with a lot of great professionals in the green building industry. And so I definitely recommend them as well. It's a great organization.
All right, I see a question in the chat that says, where can we find the recording of this Zoom? So it will be posted on the blog, and eventually you can also find it on the YouTube channel for the library. And welcome back, Jack. Sorry for your internet woes today.
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. This is the first time this is happening.
Okay. So I see another. Oh, sorry. Am I interrupting?
Oh, no, I was just saying it happens to the best of us, Jack.
Yeah. Okay, I see another question in the Q&A
Do
room.
have another Q&A. You've got it. Okay.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. It says, my son is finishing his environmental sustainability degree at UNT this semester. What are the best ways to find jobs, internships, make connections? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is a great one. I use it myself every day. Make connection, volunteer, and get to know a lot of different professionals and by volunteering. And reach out and go to networking events.
Yeah,
I was gonna mention that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just say, go to conferences, events, like where some specific topics that is of interest to you is being presented. Contact people. Go and look at people who do similar work that you have done in school, and email them, tell them you're interested, asking for an internship. There's always potential.
Yeah, I was gonna mention I guess sometimes as a students, we wait, for the information to come to us, but the recommendation is that for them, they need to do the homework. And the homework, it would be for them to go and look for these opportunities like conferences. And that's, I was going to mention one conference, which is called SACNAS. It's SACNAS. And that conference actually is going to be in October of this year. But usually students apply, the beginning of the year, maybe March or April. But they can go and check if there's still, opportunities for them to apply for the conference. But that conference, it really is a great network opportunity for them to know they are contact with so many students from different backgrounds and disciplines and science that actually they might find out even other conferences and opportunities for them just to find not only opportunities about the conferences but about fellowships, scholarships, opportunities, and even contacts, maybe potential volunteer work, because I went to this conference when I was a student for 5 years, and I was able to find actually scholarships. I volunteer, which is very important, and you don't have necessarily to go to the agency. When you go to the conferences, if there's conference and there's people coming, let's say from the EPA, from NASA or other organizations that you're going to be there, you can contact them and be a volunteer. Hey, I'm a student from this university or college. I would love, to be a volunteer and help you over there in your booth. And that's great, actually, first step for them just to be in touch with those people from those organizations. And I've seen that a lot, from a lot of students having an initiative just before even, trying to go to their agencies. It's just trying to help in the conferences, volunteer, and doing different things.
I
I
agree with
can,
you, Jack. Definitely the homework doesn't stop at school. You need to keep learning throughout life. And I wanted to just add your spiritual organizations in your community. If you're going to church, reach out to leadership. They will put you in touch with various volunteer opportunities, other members of the community that can provide information and help you in your research. And also I wanted to mention, give a shout out to an international conference that is all about green building. That's Green Build. That's GREENBUILD. I'm not sure exactly where they are doing the conference this year, but it travels. So it's in a different city in the US every year. It's a ginormous conference and people from all over the world come to it. And there's tons of networking and learning opportunities at that conference.
And another conference that happens typically in every May of every year is the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. They have their environmental trade fair and conference in Austin every year. And they have a lot of really great educational tracks to attend. But even if you're not able to attend the conference, they will typically put out a list of exhibitors who are going to be as part of the trade show for the conference. And it's really like a little bit of a who's who in the consulting and some of the environmental product manufacturers as companies you could start to look at and learn more about and see if it's someplace you might like to be.
and I can attest that
San Francisco.
I can attest that volunteering can get you a job, because when I was fresh out of college, I volunteered for the Illinois State Geological Survey. They didn't have any jobs at the time, but I volunteered in their educational outreach department, and it didn't take long before some jobs popped up, and it was really easy. I got hired right away. It was great. So definitely recommend that, because I made all those connections, already knew what was going on in the organization. It really was a great way for me to get connected.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken too, right now, because of COVID-19, there is a lot of the organizations actually, they are receiving volunteers even before you finish. And and they usually do the volunteers, for a month or 2 months, but it's non-paid. But again, I did that actually when that was actually back in 2006, where I worked for them for 2 months, and at that time for the EPA, and I was not paid, but I just volunteered, and that actually really helped me to go into the agency, and most importantly, to get contacts, other people, they help me inside the agency.
Excuse me, Valerie. There was a question about Jamie. Do you mind restating the name of the conference in Austin?
It's the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or the TCEQ.
Thank you.
State regulations. They have an environmental trade fair and conference.
This is kind of the name. So there another conference, the HINEC, is another conference too, if anybody want to look for that. And the first one, the SACNAS, is the one that I mentioned.
Okay. I know they put the
So-
SACNAS one in the chat link, so people can click on that. Thank you
And
very
HINAC.
much, Jack. So HENAC.
There is another question.
Okay.
Any advice on getting a career in environmental policy? I'm currently a high schooler interested in studying environment and sustainability and in need of advice on whether that's the right area of study for this path.
So a career in environmental policy.
So the people I work with that have that do environmental policy, and I work with a couple at UNT who are amazing, and some at A&M, and some at UT Austin, and they're usually in environmental science, geography, or public administration. So if you go to the website of these departments at different universities, I listed 3, but every university has these majors. You'll always find 1 or 2 faculty that focus on environmental policy among the public administration folks, or somebody in geography or environmental science that focuses on policy. So definitely one of those 3 would be a good major for this. You just need to find the best program that really have a good amount of courses in that path.
Yeah, and to my knowledge too, I know that there's in UTD, University of Texas at Dallas, they have the environmental policy too. Actually, I know a student from Korea that she's taking actually the class, and one of the things that I learned, even being as an international student, is that even if you have an environmental science degree or even a science degree, you can always take, especially if you're under the interdisciplinary programs, there is actually classes like political science, which is connected with environmental or science too in the universities. You can actually have those minor classes, and they will help you, for your career in the future too. And of course, always try to be a volunteer for international activities. Like we mentioned, there is actually 2 conferences too in Colombia. The years happened this year, which it was free for everybody, any students, but they're always asking for volunteers, so anybody can attend those conferences. But anything that you can build up in your career, volunteer activities, working with the communities, working, with international maybe conferences, trying to help with attending them, that help you in all of that, because then environmental policy is not only about the country, it's international too.
Do we have any other questions?
Let's see if anything else.
We don't have any more in the chat or the Q&A at this time, but I think we had some other questions prepared for right now. And anyone who has a question, please feel free to type it into the chat or Q&A.
Okay, so for our panelists, are there any interesting projects that you're working on right now?
So at Granite, we have kind of as a company decided to come up with a comprehensive strategy around ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. So as part of that, we have become a Fitwel champion, which is a building certification which focuses on occupant health and well-being. And and we are going to do and certify 10 of our office buildings this year. So that's something exciting that I started working on this year and will be throughout the year.
And with the city of Plano, we have pretty ambitious goals for by 2030 and 2050 with regard to air quality and greenhouse gas emissions. And one of the ways that we are looking.
Uh-oh.
It looks like JB froze now.
Yes. Okay.
Well, since I talk every time someone freezes, I'll speak again.
Same.
So I'm actually I just finished actually. I'm finishing a big project for that I worked with the Nature Conservancy on, where we evaluated the stormwater network of the city of Dallas, and then determined where are the areas that are most flood prone. And we came up with suggestion to use nature-based systems to capture the runoff and treat it so that it reduces flooding and improves water quality. And we ran the model for different storms, large storms, small storms, to see how it works. And we saw huge benefit from using green infrastructure, stormwater rain gardens, permeable pavement, rainwater harvesting at city scale. And we actually published the report with the Nature Conservancy, and there was actually an article about it a couple of days ago in AgriLife Today, which is our main news service. And I'm putting that in the chat right here.
Thank you.
And so, but yeah, that's and Jamie's back, so let her finish her.
Thank you. I'm not totally sure exactly when I froze there. I just kept talking. But you know, as anybody who watched the Super Bowl this year, we saw the tremendous amount of EV or electric vehicle ads that were shown during the Super Bowl. So we as a city are getting prepared for that in terms of planning for charging stations, planning for electrification of our own fleet, for promoting other sources of renewable energy, such that whenever everyone has vehicles that they suddenly need to charge using electricity from the grid, how are we going to be able to meet that demand? So we're busy promoting energy conservation and solar panels and other ways for producing energy besides going to the grid. That's very exciting.
That is exciting. At Granite, we're also starting to think about when we build new buildings, how many EV chargers we want to put into our garages, kind of thinking through what that electrification is going to look like, as Jamie said, as we spend so much time of our lives, for those of us who go into the office or partially go into the office, if I have an electric vehicle, how am I going to charge it when I'm at work? So we're thinking through that.
I was just gonna mention too that another event that I would like to share, which is some other projects from the EPA. The EPA is gonna be there, like a lot of other organizations, actually from the state, the city. It's gonna be the 2022 Earth Day, which is this is the time actually where it's gonna happen. Actually, starting this coming Friday. But that's actually will be. I know for the public it's free. Anybody can go, and it's opportunity just to visit all the different organizations and just to talk to the different representatives and ask for opportunities. But a lot of like EPA, they're gonna be presenting. I guess we're having some models and some activities, for different students. But also
That
too, I will
Earth
put it here.
X, Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
Yes,
is that Earth
yes,
X?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
At the Bailey Hutchison Convention Center in Dallas.
Thank you. I was going
Friday
to put the link in the
through
chat.
Sunday.
Want to make sure I got the right event. Sorry.
Yes, yes, and I'm gonna put another events that we have for the air date for this that I have over here, and maybe you can share that with the students. But I'm gonna just copy and paste this in the. There you go. Yeah, so that's another great opportunity. And don't be, since we have students here, don't be afraid. Just go to these, like activities, events, and just go ask the questions to over there directly and ask them, hey, I'm looking for volunteer activities. I would like to help and I would like to learn. I guess always express your passion. Hey, I love the environment, or I love to work in water area. I would like to learn, or maybe I'm looking for volunteer opportunities, and I bet they will find something.
Glad you mentioned that, Jack. So I'm actually part of the communications committee on the U.S. Green Building Council, and we just posted about EarthX on our LinkedIn page and on social media about it. And there's a link on there, and I can drop it in the chat as well, to volunteer. If you like, there's shifts available. There are 3-hour shifts, so you get credit for them, for your school, or it always looks great on your resume. But
Yeah.
it's fun. There's lots of gamification going on at that conference, and it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Family friendly.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Okay.
What are fields of study and skills you need to study or have experience with to work for the EPA? Do you need a master's or doctorate degree, or just ways to get experience?
Oh, that's a good question. But the to answer the first thing is, you have to be able to work with other people. Believe it or not, even if you are the best biologist or chemist, if you cannot work with people, so that's going to be difficult because they will ask you those questions during the interview. And you can talk about yourself. Yes, I'm good in this area, but if they don't hear like, hey, I work in this project with other people, we coordinate, or I was an assistant, helping doing all of this, working with other people. That's what I want to hear. So I will encourage you first, if there is any opportunities for any leadership activities to at the university or at the college, we will finishing from the schools, because that help you. And I know something that I took initially, and I know that they do outside Toastmasters, for example. It's a great opportunity to Toastmasters. It help you, to speak outside, to speak with other people, to correct any mistake that you have when actually you are in public or talking with other people. But there is more leadership actually opportunities that if you can grow in that, that's great. And for the EPA, you don't have to have a master's or a PhD in order to be accepted. They require a bachelor's degree in any of the science degree. It's not necessarily biology, chemistry, engineering.
We lost
There is
sound on Jack.
economic too. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Did you say something, Sylvia?
We lost your
Okay.
sound. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say only that you don't need a master's or a PhD to work in the EPA. I do have my master's and my PhD. It helped me actually to work more in projects and working with the lab because we do research over there. But most of the people that are being hired, they have only a bachelor's degree. It's changing a little bit. Maybe students with a master's degree, they will hire them because they have actually projects and thesis. And sometimes some of these projects actually they use that EPA or working with the states of the city just to do cleanups or maybe for future projects that they can be um, fund, by the government and do something good for the communities. So
Definitely 4-year degrees, not always needed. When I started with Granite, I did not have a 4-year degree. I had just some junior college and some work experience. I got my degree while I was working for Granite, my bachelor's degree. But we have opportunities and positions within Granite that do not require the 4-year degree.
So how about, thank you for saying things that are not college based, but what about, so for our high school students, what kind of volunteer or experience opportunities?
I think everything that we've mentioned so far, reach out to your a local college, maybe get in touch with temporary agencies, and reach out and network and volunteer in your local community, and just connect with people. That's good. And if you have experience working on the team, like Jack mentioned, that's a big plus for employers. Being able to collaborate and work with different personalities, different age groups, that's definitely a skill set that is applicable to any position in any industry.
I totally agree with that. Every job is a people job at this point. I think in sustainability, in my previous job, I used to be able to say, well, EPA requires you to do this. The TCEQ requires you to do this. You must do it, or else, you risk the plant shutting down. In my current position with the city of Plano, a lot of these, they're not hard, fast rules where to do something. A lot of what we do in sustainability is communication with people. We're often asking people to think about things in ways they haven't thought about them before. So I think being able to talk to people and communicate to people, how an electric vehicle could work for them. It wasn't really that long ago that electric vehicles were a thing of the future. And now we're asking people to just take a step back and consider something else, to open their mind to other possibilities. And that requires, the ability to communicate with people and to, see things from their perspective and be able to share what that maybe someone can adopt a new perspective or just saying, and that takes the ability to communicate with people.
Reaching out and learning a trade, it doesn't always have to be about college and going to school, but learning a trade and connecting with those type of professionals and kind of following their career path can be helpful as well.
I wanted to add for high school students, actually, the state since COVID-19 we used to accept interns that are under 18, but since COVID-19, they restricted under 18. But I've worked with a lot of high school students through especially Plano Senior High. They have an environmental class there where they get assigned a project and they get to ask a professional, and a couple of cases they called me and I advised them throughout the project. So it was like an internship, but it was actually on their campus, and I helped them, and they met with me, and I explained a few design ideas, and they went and applied them, and that's experience that you can gain while getting credit for it.
And I just share actually with the two. There is actually, usually, sometimes we go and check this information, but this is summer 2022 dates and locations for high school students. And I know that because, I have my kids there, high school, and always we try, to train them and getting some leadership skills, but also in these conferences, they have opportunities. And you will see there are different majors over here in the link, for business. The STEM covers all the science programs, and they will actually give you the dates when that happen. But again, it's up to the students. They have to do the homework. Right now, I see a lot of high schools and their phones. They can actually search information on their phone. So, and usually, I will be sincere. We don't want for the parents to help them. We want for the students actually to do the homework. And they say, hey, I was looking for that information, and I found this opportunity, when I was searching, and that's great, actually, great initiative, for the students. But this link, you can share with them too, but there's a lot of opportunities for high schools, students just to get wet, to get some network contacts over there, but skills too, is to, work with other people, maybe chances to present something about projects, from the schools. There are different things that you can do over here. So you just check it out for all of them.
National Honor Society as well for high school students. Great to get involved. You're required to complete some volunteer hours, which will help you with your networking and with connections to different industries.
Okay.
I'll remind you there's
so-
information in the chat that you can connect to Plano Public Library for more information on different careers and resources that we have available. We've also linked you in the blog that is, the link is in the chat. You can find out more about the Master Gardener program and the I cannot think of the name of the other one, the other one that's at Texas A&M at Texas AgriLife, and also volunteering for the city of Plano in the SEED program. Lots of information there in the blog. We'd love for you to check that out.
Master Naturalists. That's the program.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions from our viewers today?
We do not have any more questions now.
Okay.
I just shared to the Toastmasters link.
Thank you.
I guess they have different clubs,
Mhm.
and they can go and sign up for different clubs. And that really, I would really recommend any of the high school students, or even for anybody who's already in the university. Always these programs are very good.
And that's to help with speaking skills,
Yes, and
presentations.
to presentations, and also to they meet in different places, but they meet with different groups, so it's a network opportunity too.
Mhm.
Great information all around. I definitely learned something from all
Right.
today.
I'll be checking out some of these opportunities as well.
And even though I was gonna mention the EPA, for example, we do actually receive high school students. And as you know, in the EPA we have different regions, but again, it's depending on the students. Sometimes when I see high school students, it's maybe because some of the employees over here in the agencies, but I see all the students coming, they're asking people, hey, I would like to volunteer for a month. I just want to whatever, getting copies or. But once you are there, actually, they're going to teach a lot of people. They're going to teach a lot of stuff they're doing over there. But it kind of encourages the students, I want to be a scientist. I want to do this. Maybe work in water, work in air. But they can apply actually, just for volunteer.
Take the initiative.
hmm And I don't know if we have to maybe students, they're finishing maybe bachelor's degrees, and they're looking for masters or PhDs. And in my experience, and I see in other friends, is another tip, for you to get paid. For example, if you're finishing, let's say, bachelor's degree, you're pursuing a master's degree, or even if you're starting, a bachelor's degree, there is opportunities for students. Actually, they are doing bachelor's degree right now at the beginning to work actually with professors. They have master students, and they pay you in the university or college too. So let's say I'm a bachelor's degree and I say, hey, I would like to learn, and about maybe this project, but I would like to help in the research investigation. So they hire students because they actually have two intentions. One, they want for them to be encouraged and to learn about that, because eventually, if they finish bachelor's degree, they know that they can do the master's and it's going to be easy for them. But that's one thing. So you can find jobs inside the universities just by helping other graduate students. They're doing research and masters or PhD. The other one for masters, if you want to get paid, just go to the faculty, any universities, and look for the faculty and the list of the professors, and look for the professors that have publications from 2022, for example. If you find professors, they have publications for 2021, 22, these professors actually, they are receiving funding maybe from the government or from other organizations because they apply for the funding, and they need the students. They need the students actually that they can hire them to do those projects. But if you go and check in the faculty, a professor who doesn't have publications, it's just, they are professors. They are very good, but they are not doing actually publications at that moment. They don't have the money, so they won't hire students necessarily. But the ones that they have publications, they need a student. So look for those professors read, the information, and just if you talk to them, tell them about what you learn and how you are passionate maybe is to work in the group.
All right, thank you. So we're drawing to a close now for our meeting with the Environmental Careers Panel. I want to just remind everybody that if there's any links that you think you'd like to look at, take a look at the chat. There's a bunch of them in there. And then when you leave the Zoom today, there will be a survey that pops up. We would love for you to complete that so we can get information about who attended and what you might want to see in the future. Any parting comments from any of my panelists? I'm so glad that you were all here today and could tell us all this really amazing information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Definitely lots of good information. Thanks to my fellow panelists.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit myself as well. So I'm happy to have been invited to participate. Thank you.
I did too, and it was great. Yeah, I look forward to future events.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much too. And I want to apologize because of the technology right now is not working, and we have different things going on. But thank you again for this opportunity. I'm always excited to work with the students. If there is any opportunities just to do face-to-face, I have some toys, for the students, high school and college students, that I can bring and show them and encourage them about environment and just to talk to them about different opportunities.
Excellent.
Same
Thank you
here.
so much.
If anyone is interested in reaching out to me, I'm happy to connect you with some professionals in the commercial real estate industry.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see anything else in the chat, so I'm going to honor everybody's time and bring this to a close. Thanks again. And if you want to see this in recording, it will soon be on our Plano Library YouTube channel. And you can email us at library outreach@plano.gov. So that's libraryoutreach@plano.gov. All right. Well, thank you, panelists, and I'll let you get back to your days. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.